Well, if you've made a salad lately, fried some chicken schnitzel, or maybe lit up the barbie, chances are you're probably using Cobram Estate oil. I know I am. I have an entire cupboard filled with the stuff. Cobram Estate is on a mission to take on the success they've achieved in Australia to the United States. Their growing brand is heading to California. That's my favourite place to support future plans. Co-founder and chairman Rob McGavin is here for more on their capital raise and what the future holds. Welcome to Ticker News. I'm very excited to speak with you. How are you?
Hi, Anthony. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Now, very exciting times for you. Tell us, before we talk about the expansion, Cobram Estate has had some brilliant success in Australia. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we started in 1999 with a greenfield site and no money, and raised that money through a information memorandum through sophisticated investors, with family and friends, and they're still the core of our shareholding today. And 20 years later, we grow 70% of Australia's olive oil, and 45% of extra virgin sales at retail come to Cobram. So we've just had an absolute focus on quality and educating the consumer and never compromising, and it's paying off.
Absolutely. Now, the business has plans to expand into America, as we touched on. Tell us about the capital raise. How much are you seeking to raise?
Yeah, so we raised $50 million through an institutional placement, which was existing and new institutions, from Australia, and we're doing an SPP, and we've targeted $1 million through that, just to reward our smaller shareholders or those who want to get involved. It wasn't a big discount to the price it's been trading at, so don't expecting that'll be really large, but we'd love any participation that we get. And yeah, most of those funds will be put to work in the USA, just accelerating what we're already doing there. We've been invested in a fully vertically integrated operation over there since 2014. Our desire was, or our plan was, to ensure that we could make it work and get sales moving. And I think sales was something like 35 million last year, and we've got a supply issue where we need to plant more groves and get that business in a position. Or look, I don't think there's any impediment to it being better than the Australian business. It just all takes time, and we're certainly in the right place to do it and have the right business model, we think.
Now, a part of this expansion is acquiring some land in California. What will this enable your business to do?
Yeah, so we've been buying land and developing there for the last few years, but not hugely aggressively. And site selection is the most important thing when it comes to planting olives, and we'll never compromise on that, because that's how you get the quality and the production, which means a lower cost of production. So we've found a fantastic piece of land that actually joins up some other existing groves that we have, which will give us 1,000 acres in one spot. So look, that's about a $10 million transaction. So yeah, it's very exciting. We see our production, over there in the next 5 years, which is really good, and we need to invest now for what comes on in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years time, because olives are fairly slow growers.
Yeah, certainly preparing for the future. Do you expect the expansion, I guess, will put Cobram on the world map as well?
Yeah, look, it will. We're number 7 brand over there at the moment. Obviously started from nothing. These things take time, but every single thing that works in Australia, with educating the consumer, talking to the trade, even growing the olives, milling the olives, everything that works in Australia works in the USA. And each time we divert to something that's different, it doesn't work as well. So the recipe is pretty simple. Execution is then the key. So it's a huge market. It's 10 times the size of Australia.
Wow.
I think domestic production over there, which is what consumers are buying and what's growing the quickest, is still only 3% of total sales. So there's enormous opportunity. They're the biggest import market in the world. And certainly under our Olive IQ growing method, we can produce a lot more oil at lower cost of a higher quality. And that sounds not real, but it's absolute fact. And we're very proud of it. And it's because growing olives is reasonably difficult that we've been able to, not growing the tree itself, that's pretty easy because they're very hardy, but getting it to fruit consistently, because its natural instincts are to look after itself first, crop second. So if you haven't got nutrition, water, pruning, variety, climate, and all those things right, you produce a lot less oil. And we produce 9 times the oil per hectare than the world average. 9 times, not just 90% more. So it's a big number, which allows us to use 30% less water, something like 60% less nitrogen, 80% less phosphorus per litre of olive oil produced than the world's average. And not only that, extra virgin olive oil is the only mainstream cooking oil that's a carbon sink. So we're also sinking a huge amount of carbon. And in fact, our business in Australia grows in Australia because we own the trees and the land, sinks the equivalent amount of carbon each year that is emitted by a medium-sized city like Bendigo. So it's a great thing, we feel, for the environment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic stuff. Now, Rob, just before we go, how can people get involved in the capital raise?
Well, to be honest, it's all done and dusted. You may remember we did a compliance listing because we already had 800 shareholders in early August, and we, did this placement through institutions. Obviously, going down the prospectus route is very, very expensive. We had to do that for the compliance listing, and existing shareholders get the opportunity through the SPP. So, other than that, if people want to be involved, it's an on-market proposition.
Amazing stuff. All right, Rob, take care. We will be in contact with you to see how the expansion goes, and all the very best with it.
Thanks very much, Anthony. Thanks for having us on your show.